Hello and welcome to the SciFirst MovieTalk episode. So in this episode I'm discussing the 1981 cult classic supernatural horror The Evil Dead, as written and directed by Sam Raimi in his feature film directorial debut. Now, this is one film I remember watching when I was younger, along with the original 1968 horror Night of the Living Dead. Both of those films just used to creep me out completely, probably still do. Yet together held kind of such this kind of morbid fascination with the underworld and the undead, and an extraordinary kind of captivation that no matter how much I so longed to look away, I was literally transfixed to the screen. The movie sees us follow a group of friends, Ash, Cheryl, Scott and Linda and Shelley, as played by Bruce Campbell, Ellen Sandweiss, Hal Delrich, Betsy Becker and Sarah York, respectively, who have bagged themselves a bargain vacation stay over in a remote cabin located deep inside a dense and imposing woodland. The cabin's a bit of a fixer-upper, but only, it comes complete with a couch, windows, and a functioning door, and indeed a book bound in human flesh, as all cabins do. Everything you could want for the perfect weekend away. A real home away from home, Now, the book itself is written in some form of ancient dialect. Luckily, there's an audiobook version available. However, reading any part of the text out loud, spoken on tape or otherwise, has some dire consequences, and our unsuspecting friends unwittingly unleash an ancient evil intent on taking all of their souls in the foulest of ways possible. Over the course of one terrifying evening, our friends suffer a chilling ordeal at the hands of the demon. As the terror unfolds into pure chaos, just who will manage to survive the night and live on to tell the tale? Now, I've never actually ever really been sure as to what the rules of this movie were. How did the demon operate? Could it be put back? Would anybody survive? Was there anything you could do to avoid being possessed? The demon seemed to have a presence that was kind of felt by those that it possessed, but not knowing any of the above kind of made all this the more terrifying. I think for many, and really I do have to include myself in this generalisation, you're going to get to the end of this film and wonder what on earth you just witnessed. Yes, it looks cheap. Yes, it looks and it comes across as being a pretty silly affair. But therein lies part of the trick. It couldn't actually be further away from those analogies if it actually tried. From making such excellent use of its eerie woodland setting to the exquisite amount of detail and attention drawn to the practical effects themselves, the level of devotion in getting everything just so, and the simple fact that it really wastes no time in getting us straight into the horror. Raimi captures every angle conceivable. It's absolutely immersive in this way. From the first-person view we follow with the demon itself to those of the characters. This makes for quite the intimate kind of personal experience. Indeed, I loved the kind of subtle additions to the demon's personality itself, such as when even it seems to kind of get the hoof on at points, bringing it into kind of being a character very much in its own right. What starts off as a campfire tall tale to some extent very quickly escalates into something very much of a different ilk. A story of possession with a distinctly different flavour indeed, mixing the exceedingly dark comic vibe with the horror that unfolds and definitely kind of twisted vision that it has. Now, it has been quite a while since I last watched the second instalment in this franchise, so I will be catching up with that one next, just in case you didn't know that's what I was doing, but I'm going to be doing the Evil Dead series. But from what I remember, this first outing, although certainly running to the beat of a different drum, all its own, there's not much out there quite like the Evil Dead, sided very much on the horror and extreme effects, with the second following a very similar path in terms of story, but being very much more about the comedy and bravado of its lead character, Ash. In this, Ash is yet to become the wisecracking one-liner innuendo spouting icon that he later develops to be within the series. Played by Bruce Campbell throughout the series, it is interesting to see him operate at this early stage. A lot less sure of himself, None of that kind of bravado we would come to kind of recognise of the character. But yes, still a brilliantly, manically panicked performance with the energy and facial expressions to match. For me, I think much of the creepiness of this film, and indeed quite a bit of the horror, actually comes from just how unexpected much of the film is. Some moments are certainly inspired and designed to shock, but I always have this kind of feeling of never really knowing where the film is about to go next. Now, I know it's never going to change, but that for me is the beauty of the movie. I rarely get this kind of feeling anymore, not from films I've seen, like a gazillion times. But this always has that vibe for me. And in that in itself is as unsettling as anything that it can do that. The movie portrays a ruthless force, something primal, ancient, and devilishly, mischievous, that kind of manifests itself with some really tense, creepy, disturbed, and brilliantly ghoulish practical special effects. Bucket loads of the stuff. The film is a mess, or at least it wants you to believe it is. In fact, its construct has been painfully executed. That you can feel that, with a mind and an eye on the detail at all times. It can actually be quite intimate in this respect, and actually at times quite distressing, as it kind of depicts the wild and untamed nature of the demon at hand. It's frantic, unashamed, and even to this day, exceedingly eerie, with a playfully twisted punchline. Completely over the top, over embellished beyond reality itself, and totally self-indulgent. A movie that never holds back, and as it kind of descends us deep into its own madness, everything is certainly presented as a very visceral experience. There's an amazingly clever use of camera perspectives to really draw you in to the bedlam and the total freak out which prevails. There's actually, quite a strong, perturbed kind of psychological element to it all that kind of creeps under your skin more than you would and probably ever realise while watching it. Overall, this movie certainly packs in plenty of jumps, thrills, and most certainly bucket loads of spills. It is indeed definitely not one to be watching straight after eating any form of food. It's a raw, rough-cut production, yet with an incredible eye for detail that never ceases to amaze or yield something unexpected, no matter how many times you have seen it before. You never know just what's knocking at that door, and in that lies much of its horrific beauty. It's chaos, it's a mess, but man, what a ride. They most certainly don't make them like this anymore. Just sit back and enjoy the ever-increasingly distraught onslaught of mayhem, commotion, and disturbed violence that ensues. That's all it asks. So, in that brings me to the end of this episode. Many thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please do leave a like. Please do hit that subscribe for more movie reviews, trailer reactions, and other movie-related content. Absolutely loved having you at SciFirst Movie Talk. Definitely love to have you back. Most of all, just thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.